Hello, everybody. This is Jake Stenziano, host of the Wheelbarrow Profits Podcast, here with my co-host, the multifamily mentor, the coach, the chef, the father of six, the best-selling author, the G-Dad, Gino Barbaro. Gino, how's it going?
Mr. Stenziano, doing good. This is Christmas week. I want to wish you and Bill a Merry Christmas this week, and looking forward to a great show.
Ho, ho,
yeah.
ho. Merry Christmas, old man. Today's guest is Bill Manassero. Bill is the founder of Old Dogs REI Network and the host of the Old Dogs Podcast. Both ventures are geared at helping older real estate investors create cash flow and wealth for their families. So without further ado, welcome him back. Bill, how's it going?
Hey, buongiorno, paisanos, huh?
Hey, how we doing?
I'm doing great, man. Doing great. Good to see you guys, smiling, cheerful. You know, is it cold back there at all?
It's 25 degrees. We got snow this weekend. It's just like I don't know. I'm more of a California guy, to be honest with you, but I'm stuck here in New York.
Well, I love the snow. You know, it's fun to go and ski and do that kind of stuff and hang out. How about you, Jake? How's it down in Tennessee?
You know, it's a little chilly. Not really feeling it right now. But you know, we got basically half of December, January, and February, and then it starts to pull back around. So I can live with it a lot better than when I lived in New York. So
basically, we got the two wimps on the East Coast, right? That's what we got here. And the two guys on the East Coast complaining about the weather. So,
I love it.
Anyways, well, Bill, it's been a little while since we last spoke. Can you just for the listeners, tell a little bit about your story, what you're doing with your organization, Child Hope International, and basically why you created Old Dogs, what you're doing with that, and just a little background for everybody.
Okay, sure. I basically, last 11 years have been in Port-au-Prince, Haiti. We have a nonprofit called Child Hope International that focuses on orphaned, abandoned, at-risk children, mostly street kids in Haiti, and living there with my family. Started there, a younger man, and as time went on, it's just a tough place to live. It's pretty gnarly. I've had my whole family's had
coming out.
Oh yeah,
gnarly baby.
Exactly. Yeah, you don't hang too loose in Haiti, man. But it was. I was just starting to think, oh my gosh, I'm getting older. It's a little rough. My kids are growing up. They're going back to the States. And we had set up our organization initially to be run by Haitians anyway. So we got it already. It was, I was about 59, 60. And I'm going, man, I don't have a plan here. I've kind of lived on faith for so long. I was, I had a little money in IRA, from my corporate days. But I just was not really prepared. So I started looking at what could I do, because I'm not going to have enough to really, get through retirement and so forth. So I started looking at all kinds of different avenues. I looked at online marketing. I started a little online business while I was in Haiti, doing really good. And then I got kicked off of eBay. And so my whole model just fell apart.
What did you get kicked off eBay for, man?
Well, it's one of these things where, there's not really any kind of real drop shipping. I mean, they are, you're basically buying things on Amazon and selling them on eBay type deal. And when my suppliers would run out, unfortunately I have to go to the people I sold to and say, look, I'm sorry, we're out of that item. Do you want to? And then you just get a couple of bad reports. Yeah. And you're like off eBay for life. I mean, there's no contending it and stuff.
Banned from eBay and went to real estate. Here we go.
I know. And then miraculously, I got this check in the mail, an inheritance check. And I had been involved in the stock market for a while. And I just didn't feel real comfortable going into the stock market. And with the money, I just, thought, well, what am I going to do with it? I need to invest it. So I started doing research, checked into real estate, said, this is great. I got a lot of friends that are doing well in real estate. So that's basically how I got started. I hopped on a plane from Port-au-Prince. First, I went to Atlanta, bought a single family home there. Then I flew to Memphis. I bought a single family and a duplex there. And flew back home, all within about a week's period. And, I had my investments, my real estate investments. And I really initially just thought of it as, just another means like the stock market, just a place to put your money and you just kind of sit back. And the next month I started getting checks and I'm going, well, this is pretty sweet. This is like, I didn't do anything, and then it just keeps coming. I'm going, this is why can't I grow this? And then, it'll be a means by which I can provide not only for my wife and I and help out my kids as they're growing up and so forth, but also as a way to eventually be able to help support what we're doing in Haiti. So that was it. That's how it got started. And as I did it, I had friends like I'm sure you guys did when you got started that are asking you, hey, what are you doing? You bought that property there, what have you? And so I started
in the beginning they said, what the hell are you doing? And then it took a few months before they asked, what are you doing? Sorry.
Well, that's true too. Especially the family side.
That's right.
Kind of going, what the heck?
That's right.
So I'm talking to them, a bunch of people I'm meeting with and so forth. And I figured, well, why don't I do a blog or something? It'd be kind of easier to kind of communicate with people. I can share the stories of things that are happening. And it kind of grew into this Old Dogs REI network because and a lot of people my age and older that, they're baby boomers. They have, either approaching retirement or they're in retirement and they're just kind of looking at this going, wow, what am I going to do? I'm not going to have enough money, and Social Security may go away and all these other issues. And so I just kind of geared it to that group, and it evolved into a podcast. And then that's what I've been doing, basically sharing my story. I interview people like you guys do, but I also have share my the good, bad, and the ugly of real estate investing with everybody. I'm real open about it too, and but that's how we learn, right? so that's it. That's pretty much how it got started and is going crazy right now. So,
Bill, can you take me back to the time when your kids were growing up in Haiti? How was it like for them as opposed to living in the States?
It's very different. I have 7 kids, one more than you, Gino, but
right.
What is it with everybody that comes on the show? They got like all these kids, man. It's crazy. It's
I'm trying,
something
Jake.
In real
One
estate, multifamily and kids. Gino's competing with the other real estate podcasters for most kids.
You're still young, Jake. You got lots of time,
That's right. Yeah, I keep telling that.
We got one and we're busting out of our house. And it's not a small house by any means. It's just the stuff keeps coming in. I don't know. Anyways.
So yeah, we moved over there. We basically sold everything. We just totally took a leap of faith and went there. Had no idea what I was doing. Kind of like the way I started real estate, and just kind of my kids were young. I had one that was I had 4. I had another one that was like 9, another one that's 12, and then I had my older kids that started off with us too, and so they were really young. They really grew up there. My kids. We ended up adopting 2 in Haiti as well. 2 Haitian boy and a Haitian girl. So that's how we kind of got it. Went from 5 to 7 pretty quickly, and. It's tough. All my kids had malaria. They've all, my wife and I have both had malaria and dengue. I had them both at the same time. We've had kidnapping attempts. We've been in the middle of hurricanes, the major earthquake that was out there. It's an adventure. Haiti's kind of like the
just write a script
Wild West.
and get this thing, out to Hollywood.
Yeah, I imagine make an interesting story. People have asked us about that, but we haven't quite gotten there yet. But definitely there were a lot of adventures, and for the kids, they all grew up. They're all fluent in the Creole, which is the native language there, as well as French, and then some of my kids take Spanish too, so they're they're multilingual, and I struggle with English, so I'm gonna I'm trying to keep up with them, but it's quite an adventure. Of course, my boys, their major game is football, not American football, but soccer, and they love that more than anything. Although my Haitian son Kenson, he came out and to America, never played American football in his life, and got on a team, and first year out here made MVP. Wide receiver. The kid is fast. He's got hands like glue. I mean, he's just amazing. So yeah. So and then all my kids are just totally into sports here. So here I thought I was going to come back and relax, and now I'm back like I was like 20 years ago, running to soccer games, track meets, everything. It's crazy. Basketball, you name it.
That's the reason why I asked is I like to see how kids grow up in other countries, because my only complaint with my children is that they're a little I wouldn't say spoiled, but we have everything here. We were shopping yesterday for couches, and they're like, this is not comfortable. I'm like, guys, we at least have the ability to not sit on the floor. We have a TV, we have internet. My mom was in Italy over the week. They don't even have internet service in most parts of Italy. My kids would die without internet service. So it must have been a real just change for your children to move there. And I guess once you're there, you just become really grateful for what you have when you come back over here. So it's just amazing how you did that. And your kids must have given you some pushback initially, but there's got to be a lot of beauty there. I mean, once you're there with your family and what your mission is there, and then you bring it back to the United States, I commend you for that. That's awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah, well, it's more home for them than the U.S. You know, they really think of that as Haiti as home. So over here, it's very different. But you know, they all slip right into everything here. They're very comfortable. They've got their iPhones. They're they're like in that world. And you know, I kind of miss the simple. I mean, we had some good things, some bad things. I mean, we lived in a fortress. We had 10-foot walls and barbed wire and the 24-hour guards and the whole type, because it was it was kind of hairy over there. But so it's kind of nice here that they can run around the streets and they can ride their bikes around for the day and things like that. But yeah, very, very different, very, very different.
Wow. So tell us about your first deal, how you got into your first deal here.
Well, the first one is the one I mentioned about, is hopping on a plane. And I had studied, I'd read about emerging markets, and I knew that Memphis and Atlanta were both, good areas to buy. And so I felt pretty comfortable with that. What I didn't have, initially, it was funny because I was looking at real estate. I wanted to flip, and I was thinking flipping in the U.S.
Let's back up. Why do you want to flip? What was the attraction there in the beginning? Because I think a lot of people start out there.
Yeah, I looked at it. It looked like a way you could start off. You could almost like wholesale first, get some cash, buy a property, flip it. But I'm looking at the amount of time involved in flipping, and I'm in Haiti. I'm not going to flip in Haiti, right. I mean, so I'm thinking, can I flip from afar, And it just never really clicked, And I'd already, I bought into some email course, and I was like, learning all of it, and I'm thinking maybe when I get back I'll flip, but I ended up just buying, buy and hold. Start off with buy and hold. And what I did is I heard about turnkey. So I thought, well, that's probably a good route to go, because I don't really, have enough information yet to be able to do this totally by myself. And I learned a big lesson, that turnkey was not all it's cracked up to be, at least the way I did it in the company I went with. Just turned out to be really kind of a bad scene. And I learned through that process, but that was sort of my first big FUPA, is not really having, looked at the properties, looked at the areas, checked out the property management. I think if anybody's going to do turnkey, you should do it just like you're buying it with no turnkey. You should do inspections on your properties. You need to vet the property managers. You've got to do all the same stuff. So don't do
turnkey, just buy it yourself.
Well, exactly. I went into it thinking, oh yeah, they got everything taken care of. Yeah, they had it taken care of, right? Oh. I mean, there was I had residents living in there that had just moved in, prior to me, buying this property, and they just disappeared shortly after, I signed the lease and or signed all the papers, and so it was, there were a lot of things I learned, kind of the hard way there.
Well, that's good. You started small, though, right? I mean, you started small. You didn't do your proper due diligence, because that's my biggest mistake, is I never did my due diligence initially. And what better way to learn, to jump in and to learn? That's the definition of an entrepreneur. Because if you never started that way and the first one went right, you might have bought 5 or 6 of these, and then all of a sudden you're in big trouble. So happened to me. So right, exactly. It's a great learning lesson. How long ago did you buy your first property? How many years ago was that?
2014, around April 2014.
And then when did you move back to the States?
And we moved June 2015 back to the States.
Okay, 2015. So how has your investment strategy changed since then, since getting away from the turnkeys?
Well, the one of the things that I bought 2 single family and 1 duplex, and it didn't take me very long at all to realize that this duplex I paid the same price for this duplex that I did for each single family home. I'm making twice as much. And I have only one property property tax statement. I have one insurance statement. I have one roof to repair. I was just just the economies of scale were evident even in a duplex. And so I'm going, well, why am I messing with single family? Plus, I had a single family that had a vacancy for a while, and I'm not earning anything on this thing. And I just said, gee, multi is really the way to go. And so I shortly after that, I bought another duplex in Indianapolis, and then the next purchase was a 22 unit in Indianapolis.
And when did the origination of your podcast start? When the light bulb go on and say, I want to share this stuff with people?
Well, I started blogging first. I started writing, and that how that is. You guys seem like you write a lot. I mean,
no, that's Gino.
And it takes time, and I didn't have the time because I was really looking at properties and evaluating, doing things like this. So I thought, wow, I could do it all with the podcast. And so, I started off with really simple things, just again, to educate people. I would do a podcast on cap rates, or I'd do a podcast on turnkey, or I would do just real basic things, 10-minute little blurbs. And then I would have guests on. And one of the issues I knew is that at that time I had set a goal for myself. I said, what I want to do is I want to double the number of units I have each year. And in 6 years, I will have 1,000 units. And, it sounds easy in the beginning. I started off with 3. Well, that was pretty easy to double. But then I'm talking the number of doors. So if you look at, doubling it when you start getting into the 5th and 6th year, that's a pretty sizable number of units to purchase. But I knew that I'd get to a point. I was doing everything with my own cash to start off. And then as I started to, leverage what I had, I realized I'm going to have to get other money in here because, it just, if I waited, I think, I could probably, properties would increase in value. I could take equity out, but, I'm on a time frame here. Us old dogs don't have a long time, so we can't do those 20-year plans like you young guys here, So, we're moving fast. And because of that, I really had to look at, okay, I'm going to have to go and seek out funding. And for some reason, I have a hard time, asking family and friends. That's been, one that was difficult for me. And I thought, well, I'm learning. I don't want to make any mistakes. If I do, gosh, I don't want to alienate family and people, you see the rest of your life.
Some funny Christmases, right?
Yeah, exactly. So the mentor I had at the time, he basically said, well, then you're going to have to go outside. And he was the one, because I was toying with the idea of a podcast. He goes, yeah, you get a podcast, just start making contacts with other investors, bankers, people that might get involved with you. And I said, well, let me give that a shot. And sure enough, it's been great. I've made some incredible contacts, and it's really helped me. It's just been an education for me. One thing that I do that I don't know if you guys do or not, but I really take, after the interview, I do the show notes myself, because, when you're interviewing, you're not really, you're kind of listening, but you're also thinking about the next question and what have you. When you do the show notes, you really got to dig, and sometimes they'll give references you got to check out and things. And I just have been learning so much just by doing show notes that, I'm just getting a great education just doing the podcast. So I kind of like it's a service, but it's also a great education tool for me.
I want to go back to something you said that really touches me and what I've learned. You said, I think it's a fallacy that everyone's got to be on a 20-year plan, all you young guys. I think we've been ingrained in that. Put your money in stocks, wait 20 years, buy and hold. With real estate, I thought that when we first started, but within 3 years, we have almost 700 units, and I'm a lot older than Jake, 10 years older. So I don't think with real estate you have to be on the 20-year plan. You can be on whatever plan you want to be. We haven't really raised any private money yet, but now this is our goal this year, to raise private money and start doing syndications. So I think real estate gives you the luxury to, you want to buy 10 units a year, you want to buy 1,000 units a year. You could do either one as long as you educate yourself. So I'm out here to tell people you don't have to be on the 10-year plan. You can be on whatever plan you want to be and however comfortable you feel. Don't you think, Jake?
Feed the beast, baby. Give me some deals.
I mean, like it's me and Jake were pretty conservative. We've been refining our money, putting our money back into deals. And like you said, you start running out of money and you want to keep doing deals. And it's like, okay, where am I going to get the money now? So you just step outside of yourself and see what everyone else is doing, what other guys who are successful doing. And you can end up doing that. So I agree. We're on the old man's plan also. We want to continue to grow.
Now we're on the feed the beast plan. Let's do it. Come on, man.
But it's so true. And what's funny about it too is, again, kind of going to the podcast idea is like, of course, right now I'm looking for, looking like you guys, we're looking ahead, private money, whatever. So I'm doing shows on private money. I'm doing it on sponsorships. I'm doing it on, syndication, all these things that I'm going to have to do at some point. So it's been, again, I'm educating myself while I'm educating, my listeners. So it's a real neat, I don't know, neat vehicle for growing and learning as you go along. But that's a really good point. You can do it really fast. And I interviewed one guy. I don't know if you know Mike Becker, but he's they have a podcast called it's another old one. Let's see, it's Old Capital out of Texas. And a mortgage banker, and then he went. He was watching.
Is he with Carlos Flores?
I don't think so. No, his partner is Paul Peebles. Okay. But anyway, it's really neat. He was a mortgage banker, and he's watching all these investors come into Texas and make a killing. And he goes, I'm gonna go for this. So in 3 years, he's racked up 3,000 units, and he's got, and he has this. I mean, just like gangbusters. And I'm going, man, that's crazy. But yeah, it can be done. And he had an advantage. He knew that the financing side so well, and he knew due diligence real well from underwriting all those years. So he just went in and he knew Dallas, and he's in the Dallas area, but he's all over Texas now, and I think in other states
too. That Dallas market is just like the multifamily zone. It's like everybody.
I love that North Dallas area. Oh my gosh, yeah. I'm looking, but everything's so competitive in that area.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Everyone's doing deals in Dallas. It seems like I don't know what it is, man.
Where are you looking right now, Bill? Where are the areas you're looking?
Yeah, well, obviously the ones that I'm still in: Memphis, Atlanta, Indianapolis. But yeah, I am looking in Texas, but also San Antonio, down south. Houston, I'm not really convinced on yet, but there's a lot of sub markets in Texas that are also really good, that haven't, Waco, places like that haven't been tapped into, that have some real good potential. I'm looking at the Carolinas. You guys probably know a lot more about that, but there's still some good things going on there. The Alabama has some neat stuff going on down there, Huntsville area and so forth. So those are sort of the main. I've looked at Ohio. Keep looking at Ohio. It's funny because the Cleveland area. Cleveland's kind of scary to me. On one hand, there's this East Cleveland area that isn't really a city, and it sounds like some a post-apocalyptic movie, where there's no cops there or anything, it's just, you just kind of walk in with an AK and just find real estate.
So it's like Memphis.
Yeah, you're not too far off on that. But so there's Ohio's, still I think got some great stuff going on.
Well, Ohio's weird because Cleveland is the east and the west. So the east side is a little bit rougher, Section 8, and the west side is a little bit better. The numbers are about the same per door. The west is much more expensive, but the rents are almost comparable. And what I don't understand about the Rust Belt, stuff can be built new and it still looks old. Like Cleveland's an old city, and they're developing downtown into thousands of units. All these A properties are coming in, but I don't see where the jobs are coming in. I'm hoping Trump can come in and leverage it and build the jobs up there, because they're going to have a lot of vacant units if they don't do that, because all these cities are building up their downtown, and that's where all the money's going. But the periphery of the city, I hope we have this master plan for these cities to come back, because it's going to be tough. You're building up the inner of the city, and there's still outskirts of the city that will be tough. So you have to be careful when you're analyzing these cities,
Yeah, that to me is so key. You guys seem like you do a really good job at that too. Being able to really analyze the emerging markets well. That's what I like about Indy. I think Indy's got some neat stuff happening, and the fact that Mike Pence is from there, and stuff going on with Carrier and others. I mean, there's some neat things happening. Pennsylvania has probably got to be a pretty good place too. I would think with some of the neat things they're talking about doing there with U.S. Steel and so forth.
Have you thought about partnerships, Bill? Getting
Yes. Yeah, I definitely have been looking at the partnerships and that that's one of my podcasts coming up on JVs, joint ventures and so forth. But I haven't done it yet. I'm looking at all the options and trying. I think right now I'm looking at 100 plus as my next purchase during 2017. So with that, I'm very concerned. Jumping right into getting syndication at this point. I'm not 100% comfortable with dealing with a whole bunch of investors. That's why I would feel more comfortable with a JV, maybe going into that with somebody that really knows apartment, everything that has to do with apartments and so forth. But and then from there, maybe go into the syndication because it'd be easier just to kind of deal with one person as opposed to 10, 20, 30, whatever it may be on your syndication.
Just pick the guy who thinks like you, has the same goals as you do, and is willing to work hard as you do, because that's what I think has made Jake and I successful. And you're a family guy, so just pick someone who thinks that what he's doing it for your family. Because every time I do something, I always think of the repercussions that's going to happen in Jake's family, because we're feeding each other. So that'll hold you to a higher standard and hold him to a higher standard. Because I always say to Jake, we're willing to do more for our friends than we are for ourselves, which is really weird. You know what I mean? Sometimes.
Interesting.
So I love partnerships. I think partnerships are great. I've had a bad one. I've had a lot of good ones. I think that's a great way for you to start. You just go out there, put your name out there. I mean, you've got a great podcast. Get that name out there. And I wish you luck with that.
Yeah, he's got to be Italian too. That's the only thing. It's just it's hard to find.
The pool is shrinking right now. I want to know, what is your best tip for real estate for the listeners?
Well, I think for me, I learned a lot because I didn't do anything of what I did. What my tip is here. My tip is really, there's four things that you really need to do if you're going to go into real estate. Education is key. Education I see as two-phased. Okay, there's the pre-investment in education that you do, and that's the books, that's the seminars, the boot camps, and all that. And then you have the post-investment education, which I think is really the best education. We just talked about that. After you buy something is really when I think the real.
That's when you start learning right there by doing, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Then the other one is a mentor. Get yourself a good mentor, which is something I didn't do starting off. And I really wish I would have, because I did a lot of stupid things that would have been prevented if I had a mentor that had been there and done that. Then the next is a plan. I think, some people get overwhelmed. Oh man, a plan. Now I'm not talking about a full-fledged business plan with executive summary and all that. No, I'm just talking about getting your basic mission, your vision, your goals, your strategy, timeline, real basic plan. I don't care if you have one sheet per page, but get a plan. So you got something to work off of, in a direction to go. I mean, I was looking at, going into flipping and wholesaling and notes and deeds and all. I mean, I was just kind of, I was every shiny object that came my way, I was just looking at going, oh, that looks good. That looks good. And if I would have just really stayed focused from the beginning, I think I would have been, avoided a lot of the hassles. And then finally, go ahead.
Oh, there's another one. Go ahead. I'm just interested in this. Go ahead.
And then just I guess the final one would really be more, being. I have to try to think. What is the fourth one? Let me see. I probably had it written down here somewhere.
I have four. You had pre-education, post-education, getting a mentor, and then having a plan.
Yeah, getting a plan, and then the last one I had. Okay, I don't remember. Let me see. I'm an old dog here.
I'll speak and let you generate here, because what I was wanted to say was, I think the pre-education, the getting a mentor, and the plan, for me, I think that all actually comes before the post-education. I think if you can get a plan down, say this is the market I want to do while you're working with a mentor, and that's when that pre-education is taking place. If you get those three knocked out and then you start working on a deal and you get your deal done, I think it's going to really set you up for success. I think we're on the same page. I just think the timeline a little bit.
No, you're totally right. Yeah, you have to do the plan, I believe, with a mentor. You know, that's got to be developed with somebody that has the educate. The final one was take action. That's the hardest part.
And that really rolls into that post education stuff, because you're taking action, you're doing it. So it's very interesting. It's great stuff. I'm totally on board with you there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I would recommend.
I just think that a lot of guys out there are afraid to spend some money on coaching or mentoring because they've heard of the horror stories. But I can speak to it. Jake and I did our really first big deal, and I was in a coaching training program at the time, and it was amazing the stuff that came up. That I would ask the mentor and say, hey, listen, what do we do here? And he guided us and he helped us out. And the learning curve was amazing. The amount of stuff, the documents we had, the letter of intents we got, all this stuff came up at the opportune time. So I think it's great to go free, get your free stuff with Bigger Pockets and your books and your, tapes and all. And then don't be afraid to spend the money on a seminar. What's $1,000? At the end of the day, you go to one of these boot camps and you meet people who are in the same market as you are, the same business as you are. You get a little bit of that motivation, and then go out there and don't be afraid once you start looking at deals to get somebody to mentor you, to tell you, hey, listen, what's going on? Obviously, you want to get somebody who's doing it, who's in the market right now, who's buying the stuff right now, but who can help you out, because on our first big deal, that was a game saver for us. Remember that, Jake? I mean, every time
there's nothing like having it on demand, right? Crap.
Yeah, it really helps us out. So I think I totally agree with the education. Totally.
The mentor part of it is, I would say, is really key, and it's difficult to know if the person's going to be a good mentor or not. I think the ideal mentor is somebody who will literally walk you through that first deal, all the way through that first deal. So they're participating in as you're assessing financing, as you're looking at all your options, every aspect. That's a great. There's all types of mentors out there, and there's horror stories, as I'm sure you guys have heard too, from people that you guys work with. You guys have a great program, by the way, and I recommend it highly to anybody who is looking for a good mentor, because I know you guys really take the time to work with your people, and that's what you need. You need somebody who really will give you the time to be able to do it right. Not just a lot of promises. You pay your $20,000, $40,000, whatever it is,
that's the other thing. A lot of these things are expensive, but I mean, you start getting into the game and you get a few deals done. I mean, it's going to pay dividends,
Oh yeah, it definitely pays off. If you've got the right mentor, for sure.
But I think even if you have a mentor just for a couple months, like I'm going through deals with students, and all it is the same kind of deal cut up different ways. So if you can learn the process from the beginning to the end, the negotiating part of it, the due diligence part of it, the financing part of it, and then obviously when you take it over, you might need some management help with it. But if it's a 3 to 6 month period, if you're getting your first deal, I think that's the time when you want to call them up and say, hey, listen, I need help. Can you help me out here? And as you're going through the entire process, just take notes and just keep mental pictures of what's going on, because it's funny. It repeats itself. And then by that time, you learn how to have the team. You'll have your team built. Your mentor will help you build your team. So then the next deal, the second deal, becomes easier. You still feel like throwing up, Jake? We still feel like throwing up every time we do a deal, but that feeling doesn't go away.
No, it not nearly as much as after like the third or fourth one. The third one kind of reached its height, and then it got a little easier.
It does get easier because it becomes repetitive. So I really think that if you really want to get into this thing seriously, and you're always just investing in yourself. So that's what I think people forget. You're putting the money, and you'll never lose that money because it always goes into yourself. You're always investing in yourself. So that's what I think. Good point.
Real good point.
So what do you say your best habit for success is? What do you do on a daily basis that makes you the super dog?
Well,
the old dog, super dog.
I've had a habit since I was real young. I started businesses, and I've worked on the corporate side and done a lot of things, and I've always been a real early riser. And
there's that early riser again, Gino. We're gonna have to start getting you out of bed, man. Get that crowbar, baby. Come on.
I wish, bro.
But I go to bed early too. Sometimes that's hard, especially with kids, and stuff. And by the time you get them to bed, you're like, But I get up at like 3 or 4 in the morning every morning, and I do my best work before
So what time
6
is it in
o'clock.
California right now?
It's 6:39 right now.
Wow. See, I was like, man, it's early for him. No,
Oh
no,
yeah,
he's three
I'm
hours
half
into
done
it.
with my day. Ready to take my nap,
What? So you've been educating yourself. What is the best book that you've ever read on business that you say, I want to recommend this to get people because it really helped? It doesn't have to necessarily be real estate, but what's your favorite business book?
There's so many great books, and it's hard. I'm a student of the Bible. I think some of the best business is actually in the Bible, and not only is there self development and things of that nature, but there's Jesus talked more about finance than almost anything else. So there's some like great stuff, and I still always draw from there. I love books like Good to Great, the E Myth, and books like that are just also have some great stuff in them too.
Best deal so far and why?
Best deal is a little deal. It was just a duplex. After I had bought in those three places, I checked out Indianapolis. It looked really sweet, so I ended up buying a little duplex there. Bought it for about $50,000.
That's a good price per door.
Yeah, not too bad. And it was pulling in at that time $1,300 or $650 a
Give me
side.
some of that. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was appraised a year after I bought it for 80,000, and it's it increased the rents. It's doing well. And it's in that hot downtown area of Indianapolis too. It's Bates Hendricks, which is near Fountain. I don't know, Fountain something, and it's a real good area. So that was a sweet one. I bought a 22 unit there too, which I also say I see that becoming the best deal. It's in a short period of time. I've only had it not even a year. Upgraded it, increased rents, did a lot of nice. Just basic exterior and some common area upgrades, as well as each unit as it became available. And I went into it already. It was inexpensive. It was listed at 400,000. I negotiated down to 350. It was appraised at 400. So I came in at a good under market price, and it's in the path of progress between two very emerging areas, a whole redevelopment effort on one side. On the other side, there's a sort of a real hip, what I call the hipster Hoosiers hangout, just where you got a lot of millennials and so forth, and it's expanding toward where this property is located. So I see good things happening. I'm hoping to double the value in 3 to 5 years of that.
That's great. That's awesome.
I'm hearing a lot of this, Gino. A lot of buying right now.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
No, seriously, you're getting these things that sounds like the per unit price seems pretty good. So it's so important going in on the front end, especially in the environment that we're in now, because everything has gotten so competitive, and it's really hard to find a deal. So it sounds like you're being patient and you're picking things up at the right price, and that's so huge. I can't say enough about that. But.
Yeah, and I think in the economic times we're in too, depending on whether you think there's a big fall coming or some tough times ahead, if you're buying under market,
yep.
and there is some sort of a crash like a 2007,
you're still going to yourself.
You're right. You're going to be in a better place.
Liking it. What are you excited about right now? Any big projects coming down?
No, like I said, I'm trying to pick the market right now. I'm really excited about where am I going to find this 100 plus. And so I'm looking at all the markets. I'm doing my emerging market analysis, trying to see what's hot and where to really pour my time. So I'm talking to a lot of different brokers. It's really exciting because it's a big jump from 22 to 100 plus. And so I'm just looking at everything. I'm also kind of excited about finding the funding, the private money, the partner, whatever it may be. So I'm really learning that and networking a lot. So yeah, that's what's got me excited for 2017.
It's a huge inflection point because I remember we went from 25 to 36 to 136, and when we were operating in that 50 unit zone. It was great and everything, but something definitely changed when we picked up that 136 unit property, and from there it really accelerated. So man, the sooner you can get it, jump on it. I'm really excited for you. It's gonna be great. So.
Awesome.
I'm waiting for the book, though. Bill, when you write the book about your memoirs when you went down to Haiti, I'll be the first parent to buy it, because that's something that us parents need to hear, about something positive and uplifting, a story like that where you just pick up and you have faith to go down there. And, a lot of people don't have faith to go down to the shelter down the street where they live. And you picked up your life and just moved the whole family. So, I mean, that's inspirational to me. So, I'm glad that I met you through that. I'm glad that we did the podcast together, the first one. I'm glad we can reconnect here. More people need to hear this story, because I think it's a really powerful story.
Well, that's great. It's one thing that's really neat that we saw a lot there was people would come. In fact, there's this lady that we know that her husband is he created an exotic car. He's just a real talented guy from France, and she had two granddaughters that were just over the top, that she was having a tough time with. I mean, just, spoiled and just, bratty, and, they were about 16 or 17, and she brought them to Haiti. And the 1 week trip had such an impact on these two young ladies. They're twins. And one of them wanted to live there. She goes, I want to be a missionary. I want to live here, just totally transform. I mean, from, just, complaining because she didn't get the right color latest iPhone or whatever it was, to just, I saw these kids, a feeding program that we have, holding the kids and feeding them and, just weeping the whole time. Just the impact that it has had on people just in a week time, a week's period. It is very powerful, and it does. I think with a lot of kids, it kind of brings them home when they're all upset because they didn't get the the latest pair of Nikes that they and
sounds a lot cheaper than boot camp too. Right?
Yeah, seriously.
So this is what I'm excited about right now. I think that hopefully there's going to be somebody out there listening to this show, and I'm telling you right now, because we're in the business, Bill is buying these things right. So hopefully, if there's someone out there listening right now that can be, maybe that funding source, partner up with you, give them a call. And there's a lot of ways. I know you're out there, but what's the best way for people to get a hold of you, and the websites and everything you got going on? You want to share that with us?
Sure. Yeah. The main website for our blog and so forth is called Old Dogs REI Network, and dogs is spelled DAWG. Yeah.
Not like dog. That is Snoop Dogg. DAWG.
DAWG.
DOGG. Anyway, sorry. Carry on.
And Old Dogs REI for Real Estate Investing Network.com. And you can go there, and my contact info is there. They can write to me, call me. I'm really accessible, so most people can get a hold of me anytime. Send me an email. I always write back, and I'd be happy to talk to anybody that wants to visit.
Drum up some business, right?
Yeah. Well, this next step, like you said, this is a big one. I thought you guys had some private money, but you haven't done it yet. Wow. I am like blown away, because you guys have.
It's a miracle we can even listen. It's a miracle that Gino and I can get on the computer. Right, first of all, turn it on, and then we're on a podcast. I don't think we're sophisticated enough yet to figure out how to raise the private money. So, we're just kind of just boots on the ground, grinding it out, and we refi and roll. That's been our thing. We get in, get the values up, refi the money out, roll into the next one, do the same thing. And it's probably, I'm sure there's a lot of easier ways to do it, but it's been a very conservative approach. It's been a very, financially rewarding approach. It's just we haven't. We have our own management company. We have 16 employees, and we're busy enough making sure we're taking care of tenants and doing the right thing. So pulling in investors just adds another layer of complexity to it. But we're not opposed to it. It's just we want to make sure that we're building. We have internal HR. We have really good systems in place. We're building the thing. Like the Tennessee coach says, brick by brick, right? We're building from the ground up, and we want a very firm foundation in place. So it's maybe it's a little old school, but we're enjoying it.
Well, it's great. You guys, I look at you guys and I'm just going, wow, they're doing it the right way, and very, very impressed.
I don't know about right. We're doing it the hard way right now, right?
You guys are doing great, and you offer so much too. I don't even know how you can have the time to do the education part, but you do quality stuff. That's
why
I love
systems.
what you're doing.
We're putting, and then we follow the EOS model. We're putting good systems in place so that people are held accountable and doing what they're supposed to be doing. So, and it's just I'm implementing the Bill Manassero trick. I'm getting up earlier this year, so I'm starting to get up at 6 every day and just hitting it in the home office. So I got to get Mr. G Biz on that here in a second.
Not yet, bro. I'm going to bed no late, no early. I can't go to bed before 11:30. It's the kids are bed at 10:30. I have to spend an hour with the wife. I want to do a little reading at nighttime before I go to bed. Put some positive thoughts in my mind.
Hey, Tony Robbins, that sounds like a limiting belief to me.
You're right. I just can't, bro. And then it's tough for me right now. It is really got a 2-year-old in bed kicking me. I'm sleeping and stuff. And get up in the middle of the night. It's like, dude, come on. I need to get up in the morning. And and it's just
too familiar.
It's just that phase of my life, and I know I'll tackle it. But as far as the education goes, Bill, I totally agree with you. I'm not that smart. I have to do a lot of reading, and when I read and I listen to podcasts, I take notes, and that's how you learn, you do, and you teach. That's what I think we're all put on this planet for. We have to learn how to do something, and then we do it ourselves. And that's just, I guess, it's this foundation is parenthood. When we're parents, we go through life, and then we just do things, and then we have to teach these things and pass these on to our children. And that's what I love about real estate. I mean, what we're doing right now is so cool because there's a lot of people who are in it who don't think they can do it. But I just want them to take a look at me and Jake and you. We're just normal guys that just, like Jake says, I don't like the word grind it out, but we're doing it every day and we're stumbling and bumbling.
I enjoy the grind, though. It's not a bad grind. I love working and working hard. If I didn't have work, I'd be lost. I mean, what the heck would I be doing?
You're passionate about it. Yeah. That's what I want people to think of real estate as a passion. It's not just brick and mortar, but think of it as a business. When you're building your own business, you're building your own little foundation, your own little cash centers where you're growing your wealth. And if you take a look at it that way and just the way you look at it, I think you can really start to enjoy it. And once you're passionate about something, those little stumbling blocks are going to come through in life, and you figure it out. But if you hate something, that first stumbling block is just going to be like, boom, I'm out of here. It's just like you, Bill. You went to Haiti. I mean, if you weren't passionate about it, the first malaria, you were out of there, right? But it's something that really drove you, something that you were passionate about, and you fought through it and you enjoyed it. And that's what I think people have to do with real estate. They just have to look at it and say, this is why I'm getting into it. I have to have enough reasons why, and I'll figure out the reason how.
It's not, and it's not Haiti, but the podcast is nice because there's so many people that have benefited from it, and it's free. It's free information. We're able to give something back that we enjoy doing. It's like we're not down there helping kids in Haiti and doing something really like what Bill did. But it's nice. Any way that
you're giving back. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You can see the sun coming up in the background behind Bill. He's not messing around.
Yes.
All right, guys. Hey, this has been awesome. If you found value in today's podcast, please get on iTunes, give us a like, give us a review, and hopefully we'll do this one again in the future, Bill. Oh, Gina's got something. Hold on.
No, check out Bill's podcast too. He's got a great podcast. So jump on his podcast, listen to his podcast, and leave him a review also, please.
Oh, it's Christmas
maybe
time.
we could all meet up at
everything.
This nice little Italian restaurant in New York. Is it called Gino's, right?
Yes, it is.
And we'll get a glass of Chianti together, you guys. We could sit around, talk about the old days,
That'd be great.
All right, guys. All right. Appreciate everything. We'll see you.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye. God bless.